about that. Personally, I don't like small philosophy. Small philosophy doesn't interest me. If philosophy is interesting, then I want philosophy to be big, to be grand. In English, grand is almost too big, a bit ambitious, a bit pretentious, like grand philosophy. Right? Philosophy talks about the very basic questions of life. He talks about everything, about the earth and about God. So I don't want to trivialize philosophy to some little thing. How to help someone get more self-confidence. That doesn't interest me. Go to a psychologist. That's good enough. Philosophy has something deeper to say. Now, I want to say that if we look at the history of philosophy, we see that I am really expressing what many philosophers have already expressed. Okay, tomorrow I will talk more about it, but I think that probably most of you will not be tomorrow, so I allow myself to talk. If we look at many important philosophers, not just Plato, we see that they all have the same basic idea, that life is normally, it's interesting when we philosophers think about people or about life, we think about them. No, but us, our life, not just the life of those people. Our life is usually narrow, superficial, limited. And we see this not only with Plato, Plato, the allegory of the cave, that people live in a cave and they need to go out. We see this with the Stoics, the Stoic school of philosophy, for example, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and others, that usually we are prisoners of automatic emotional reactions, that we are very worried about things. But if we learn to, actually it's not relax, but rather control. With the Stoics is control. Control and find our center, find our real self that it connects with the cosmos. Then we will be free. And that is the task, that is the project, that is the challenge of philosophy for the Stoics. If we look at Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the same thing. Normally, people are prisoners of what? Well, for him, it's as prisoners of social pressure, social games, manipulation. But with a proper education, I don't know if you read the book Emile by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, with a proper education, we can be the natural self, spontaneous, free, right, creative. The same idea. Take Nietzsche. Normally, Friedrich Nietzsche, right? Now we are 19th century. Normally, we are the people of the herd. How do you say herd? With many animals together?
Manad.
Manad. Like a herd of cows or herd of...
Yeah.
We are afraid, we want our little satisfaction, we are not creative, we are afraid to be different. And the overman or the superman, right? That's the person who overcomes, who goes beyond, who transcends the small little motivations. And when I do like this is what Nietzsche, this is not serious, right? And you become free and you become your own person. So we have Nietzsche. I'll go to America, we'll find Emerson there, that has the same idea from a more poetic direction. He's a 19th century, very poetic philosopher. That normally we are busy in little things, but sometimes, now this is very spiritual, sometimes some bigger source, he calls it the oversoul, like the soul, how do you say it?
Alma.
Alma. So oversoul, super alma, that is beyond the individual, is the source of energies. Sometimes you can open yourself to the bigger soul. Who else shall we say? I mean, almost every important philosopher talks like this. Normal life is small. It's limited. It's prison. It's in prison. But it is possible to open yourself and be bigger, to live a life that is richer, right, more rich, that is fuller, that is more meaningful. So I am not inventing it. It's not one Lahav nobody has heard of. No, I come from a big tradition of of Western philosophy. That every important philosopher talks like this. The same intuition comes again and again. I call these people transformational philosophers or transformational thinkers because they all say that the main vision here is to transform ourselves. Some of them talk in terms of control, some of them talk in terms of flowing, some of them talk about with one metaphor or another metaphor, some things that you can change forever, other things that no, you can change but you go back. And everyone has their own version. But the basic idea is your life, you may not realize it, maybe you don't notice. Your life is small and you can live a bigger life.